Pro Football player Travis Kelce is pressed for time during the football season. So he does two things at once. Whether it's grilling while mowing.
Two things at once!
Or getting this season's updated COVID-19 shot at the same visit as his flu shot.
Two things at once.
You can be like Travis and ask your pharmacist about getting this season's COVID-19 shot at the same visit as your flu shot, if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Thank you for tuning in today. You are now listening to That Will Never Work podcast with your host, Maurice Chisholm. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We have a power-packed show for you today. This gentleman that I have for you, he is a multi-talented individual with a passion for entertaining and educating others. We will give you a full bio via his links down in the description as usual. But one of the things that we're going to talk to you about is overcoming adversity and disruptions and causing disruptions, whatever it is, to get you to the next level. This individual, he had to overcome multiple surgeries to repair and rebuild his vocal cords. And some of us don't know how to get over that hump or that disruption, if you will, to move forward. So this person, he utilized that to ignite the critical spark needed to transform his work from a personal curiosity to a professional mission. And that's to help others and organizations identify the one change that can change everything. I thank y'all very much for tuning in today. Let's get right into it today. I bring to you none other than Mr. Gregory Offner. Mr. Offner, thank you very much for tuning in today.
Maurice, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure, no problem. So, as you heard in his bio, and we're going, like I said, we're going to have it, the link in the description. But just explain to the audience how you were able to utilize something like that to ignite where you are today.
Well, we generally make change either out of frustration or inspiration. Mm-hmm. And most of us think that inspiration is going to be the source of change when actually, if we look back throughout history, it's really frustration. Mm-hmm. Isn't that frustrating that we have to wait until we're frustrated to really make a change?
Right.
And so I, over the course of my life, had built up a career during the day as a insurance executive and a career at night as a dueling piano player. And so for me, life was kind of comfy. I got to do a job that paid very well during the day, and I got to do a job that I loved very much at night. And so when you're in that place of comfort, which some of your listeners may be thinking, all right, am I in a place of comfort right now? Well, if we're not moving towards what we want, there's a good chance that we're in a place of comfort. I lived my life for a long time trying to avoid what I didn't want, which was to have that arrangement that I had going for myself shaken up. Right. And in doing so, I never really pursued what I wanted. Well, life has a funny way of giving us exactly what we need. And in 2015, I lost the ability to use my voice. And it required several surgeries to repair and rebuild my vocal cords so that I could speak again. At one point, doctors thought I would never be able to use my voice again.
Wow.
And as I went through that experience, Maurice, I decided that I wanted to use this as a springboard. I actually had no other choice. I got to a point where I was so frustrated.
Wow.
I was so upset that I looked in the mirror and said, do I even want to be here anymore?
Wow.
And when I hit that point, I said, okay, this is a message. Go do something. And so I started interviewing other people that were doing interesting things that excited me, things I thought might be neat. And what I found was this world of thought leadership as a keynote speaker. And I made this transformation, not overnight. It certainly seems like it if you look on paper, but
right.
I made this transformation now to where I run and own my own firm. I work with leading organizations around the world who want to engage their people, create a culture of highly fulfilled, high-performing leaders, and I help them navigate both the practice and the mindset of creating disruption within their organizations.
Wow. So in that, how would someone go about that in a peaceful manner, if you will? Because sometimes people might think of that word disruption and it can have a negative mindset, if you will. So how can someone do that within their lives without it causing such a major stir, if you will?
Sure. Well, the first step, Maurice, is to identify exactly what disruption means, because it's a word that people throw around a lot. You hear it all the time. I mean, sometimes you can even walk past a building that's under construction and they say, pardon the disruption.
Right.
What does that even mean?
Right.
So we define disruption as a change that sustains and sets a new standard. So from our definition, there are three things that we're looking out for before we can classify something as disruption. One, is it a change? Is something different? If there is something different, is it going to sustain? And the last part is, will it set a new standard? And where folks get tripped up in this definition is they go, well, so like you make a big change and it sustains and it sets a new standard and then you're done. No. Disruption is constant. You know, we used to communicate by Western Union. Somebody would ride a pony somewhere with a letter, and now we've got a cell phone. But there's a whole lot of disruption that happened in between.
Right.
And we're never going back to a world where our phones are tethered to the wall with a cord. So the cordless phone was a disruption, but then so was the cell phone.
Right.
And so will whatever comes after it. So the question you asked, how do we do that? You know, if you take what we were talking about earlier, the one change that can change everything, how do you change everything without changing everything? You know, because that seems daunting.
Right.
The first step is to get clear on exactly what it is that we want our outcome to be. And where I see so many people fall short, where I fell short a lot in my life, was in the way that I chose goals, the way that I chose objectives. We're inclined to conserve energy. Human beings are built as energy conservation machines. You may not think about it if you look at our carbon footprint, but when it comes to our bodies, we're built for laziness. And that's not a bad word. I'm not using laziness as a bad word. I'm saying we are supposed to be efficient, effective, and then rest. So what does that mean when it comes to thinking about goals? Well, it means that our brain, which takes up only 3% of our body's mass. Think about this statistic. Your brain is 3% of your body mass. It takes up 20% of your calories.
Wow.
20% of the energy you take in every day in the form of calories goes to operating your brain. So our brain is really hypervigilant about when it has to expend energy and when it can conserve energy. And unfortunately, we tend to conserve energy when we're setting goals. So a lot of us set what I call superficial goals. I don't want to call them lazy goals because I don't want to insult anybody, but they're not necessarily the most well thought out. And here's what I mean. You take the classic New Year's resolution, I want to lose 10 pounds.
Right.
Maybe that's I want to lose 30 pounds. Maybe that's I want to lose 100 pounds. Whatever it is, fantastic.
Right.
Nothing wrong with losing weight if that's a goal of yours. But here's the thing. There's a question we can ask ourselves after we state a goal, any goal, that will help us get clearer on whether what we just said is actually the goal or does it just sound like a good goal? And here's what I mean. What will losing 10 pounds or 50 or 100 allow you to do or to feel or to become? It's an interesting question. What will, and it doesn't have to be losing 10 pounds. It could be becoming a millionaire. It could be buying my first home. It could be getting a new girlfriend. It could be getting rid of a current girlfriend. It doesn't matter. Whatever the goal is, ask, what will this goal allow me to do or to feel or to become? And then there's going to be an answer to that question. That answer is likely closer to your actual goal. You know, I wanted to lose weight a couple of years ago. I'd gained a few extra pounds, at least too many for my liking, and I wanted to lose weight. So I said, I want to gain 10 pounds or lose 10 pounds. But really, I wanted to lose 10 pounds because I didn't like the way I looked in my clothes. So what I really wanted was to look better in my clothes. Well, maybe I don't even need to go to the gym. Maybe I just need a stylist and different fitting clothes. Now the goal has changed, because what happens is a lot of us set goals that sound good to our friends, but then we don't really follow through on it because it's not really what we want. You know, losing 10 pounds is hard. Buying new clothes is easy. Maybe that's really the goal, is to look better in our clothes. So people can create disruption in their lives. Maurice, just to sort of simplify that, people can create disruption in their lives by getting crystal clear on what it actually is they want to have happen next.
So in that, as I'm listening to you, I think what happens, we get consumed by society and or our community. Community being our jobs, you know, whoever we're surrounded by. I think sometimes we get consumed by that and our goals get cloudy, if you will. And so just for conversation's sake, you know, I used to work for a health insurance organization here in Philadelphia, and just listen to what everyone's goals were. It was based off of what they heard someone else say. And so how would you encourage someone to not to explore their own personal goals, or how would you say for them to find that without hearing all the noise and the chatter that's around them in this society?
Man, that is an important, that I'm pausing like that because you told me this is about a 15-20 minute podcast, and that could be an hour right there. But this is such an important question that you're asking. And you and I both live in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And so, you know, we can use examples of the communities around us and how challenging it is for some people to lift themselves out of that community when they truly want to.
Right.
But instead of talking about a specific example, let's talk psychology. The interesting thing about the psychology of change, one of the interesting things about the psychology of change, is that my world can change without me doing anything. My world can change simply by Maurice's world changing. So if we lived next door to each other, and you went out and bought a new grill, shiny, sexy new barbecue grill. I tell you what, there might not have been anything wrong with my grill the day before, but when I come home and I see that grill back there, all of a sudden I'm thinking, you know, maybe I need a new grill.
Right. You're right.
My life changed because your life changed. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes if we surround ourselves with capable of. But sometimes if we're surrounded by people who aren't driven like we are and who don't inspire us, I'm not going to say that they bring us down or beat us down or try to hold us down, but I'm saying they may not be our biggest advocate trying to push us up. That can make it very challenging for us to change. And it's important that we guard our circle of friends ferociously. There's there's an author, a speaker, a mentor of mine, Jim Rohn.
Okay.
And Jim Rohn had a saying that if your best friend puts a drop of cyanide in your coffee, it'll kill you. So guard your coffee. It doesn't matter who the person is, but if they're polluting, and that's a strong word, if they're polluting your goals, your sense of self, then we have to ask ourselves if they're really in our corner. Are they really a friend, or have we just known them for a long time?
Wow. Wow. So I was listening to one of your you was on one of your videos on your website, and you talked about how you were listening to the song Rosalita. And so I want y'all to go to his website. Again, links will be in the description to understand what I mean by this Rosalita, right? But there was this point in here where he talks about jump a little higher. And so in that, sometimes I think that depending on what's being said to us will drive us to go to another place, if you will. Like you said, something about our friends or whatever. Sometimes we get motivated by that. As you say, the shiny new grill or whatever it is. But we don't always understand on the back end, because we're not fortune tellers. We don't know what the future's going to bring, but we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. So, and whether or not we can actually reach that goal that they have, and we get frustrated in that process. Those are just my experiences or what I've heard other people talk about. Hey, you know what? This person has this grill, but their grill was $250. And I can't, I really want that. I really want to be able to make shish kebabs and things like that, but unfortunately I can't get to that point. So,
Well, Maurice, I mean, what you're saying right now is a perfect example of getting clear on our goal.
Right.
First you said, I want a new grill, and then you said, I want to make shish kebabs. So we have to ask ourselves, do I need a new grill to make shish kebabs?
Right. You don't.
We create stories for ourselves about what's possible, what's not possible, what we need, what we want. We fill in the gaps. And the challenge is if we're not careful about how we fill in the gaps, our brain defaults to negative. So let's say, and this happens in the world of dating all the time. I get to work with high school students, and it's so funny. I see young men and young women, and now it's less of a phone call culture, and now it's more of a texting culture.
Right.
But it's like if you send a text to somebody that you're trying to start a conversation with or start a relationship with, and all of a sudden the three dots show up, and then they go away.
Right.
Immediately what goes through that person's brain is, oh, they think I'm an idiot. Oh, They don't like me. Oh, they're laughing at me about the text. Oh, man. And so we don't put ourselves out there because our brain fills in the absence of information generally with worst case information. So we have to train ourselves. And you brought up something that I think is really important to talk about, the frustration that can come with growth. Anyone who's ever gone to the gym or ever seen a weightlifter with big old muscles, you have to understand that the way they got those muscles was through immense amounts of tension and then intentional release. You can't pick up a 50-pound dumbbell, walk around with it all day for 7 months and expect to get muscles.
Right.
You're gonna get in trouble. That's what's gonna happen. You have to put that dumbbell down, then pick it back up, then put it down. So how does that apply to shooting for a goal or feeling frustrated? Well, what we're really good at is looking at the rags to riches story and going, I want that.
Right.
We see the person that goes on Shark Tank. I mortgaged my home. I gave up everything. I've been working for 15 years. I've got nothing to show for it. And Damon John goes, hey, I'm going to give you $100,000. I'm going to partner with you. I'm going to give you whatever you need. We're going to make this work. Oh, my God. Well, what we didn't see was all of the little progress points that happened along that person's journey. We just read the book about the amazing rags to riches story.
Right.
And so here's how we overcome that sort of social bias that we have. We start to cultivate a practice of gratitude. Because it's really about the small wins that build.
Right. Wow.
I mean, we're jumping all over a bit, but if you think about investment mentality, why so many people don't invest is because they put money that's in our pocket now into an investment account, and it goes down.
Yes.
And it goes down a little bit more, and we go, oh my God, I made a terrible mistake, and I pull that money out. What's been shown to happen over time is this idea of compound interest. And when we invest and we continue to invest, even though the market's going to go down, the market will go back up, it'll go down, it'll go back up. If we're investing in well-balanced, and I'm not an investment advisor, by the way, but I'm just saying, if we invest in well-balanced, I'm not saying put all your money in Apple and good luck. No, I'm talking about a mutual fund. If you invest in something that's well-balanced, the power of compound interest is such that in 10 years, you generally double your money, generally. So imagine that if we continue to invest in ourselves in our progress towards a goal, even when some days it feels like we're taking 2 steps back, and even the next day it feels like we're taking 2 steps back. Imagine where we could be in 10 years if we didn't panic at that first sign of a setback.
Right.
If we just continued to invest ourselves, our personal capital, your energy, your brain power. If we continue to invest ourselves in pursuit of that goal, imagine what we could accomplish.
Wow. Greg, thank you very much, man. You've given us a lot to think about today. I appreciate it. Wow. Hey, everyone, please follow. Oh, no. Well, I'll let you say, Greg. Where can people find you? Where can people find you right now?
All right. So here's what I'd love. I'd love if someone were to connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter. I'm not really on Facebook anymore, but I'm there. If you want to connect, go ahead. But like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, that's kind of where I hang out when I hang out. But I want to give the audience something because they've invested their time. I want to give them a takeaway, something that I think will help them. And the biggest challenge I see right now is that the world is changing so rapidly that it almost feels like I'm going to learn how to work this new program, or I'm going to learn this new skill, and I invest myself in it. And then 4 weeks later, I find out, hey, that skill's not in demand anymore. Here's the new skill that's in demand.
You're right.
And that's so frustrating. And what I've seen over my career is the difference between people who are really good at skill acquisition, who are really good at learning something, at unlearning old habits, and then even relearning new skills. I've seen them be the ones who are very successful. And I realized there's a process to that. There's a really simple process to that. I call it the performer's process. And I've got this little video, it's actually a couple videos, that explain how it works. Just really easy to watch. And I'd love to give that to the audience. So here's how they get it. They text the word perform to 33777. So just text 33777, text the word perform. I think it's going to ask if your email. Don't freak out. I'm not going to spam you and start sending you a bunch of crap. Like that's not my bag.
Right.
But that's the easiest way to get you this link. So it's going to get you the first video. It'll explain more about this concept. And then when you want to create disruption in your life and your business, when you want to create change, when you want to learn a new skill, you can use this process to do it quickly, simply, and effectively. It's going to put you ahead of everybody else if you actually do it. I'm telling you. So that's my gift to your audience. If they want to follow me on social, I'd love it. Maurice, this has been so much fun chatting with you, man. It's great to talk to another fellow Philadelphian. This is awesome.
Right. We don't come across each other too often, if you will.
I know. But when we do, we're loud, right? We can't miss each other.
But, Greg, I thank you very much for coming on today. But, like I ask every other guest that comes on, my would you rather question. So today I'm asking you, would you rather pick between a fork in the road or choose 3 doors?
It's such an interesting question, because it on one hand, it comes down to odds. I mean, are the odds 50-50 or are the odds 33%? I think I'd always take the fork in the road.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because of that poem, I came to a fork in the road, I took the one less traveled or whatever it is, but I think that's what I'd pick. I'm curious, how do you answer this question?
So for me, I too would pick the fork in the road. And interesting enough, I was like one of the other guests. He said because he wanted to peek down the road, if you will. So I think that's for me too. I kind of want to peek a little bit. But I think the less choices I have, the easier I can deal with the outcome, whatever the outcome is. Because I will always question if I pick the third door, whatever the third door might be, the one furthest to my left, if you will. If I pick that door and I don't like that choice, then I'm going to beat myself up not choosing door 1 or door 2. So I think for me, I would be a little harder on myself and criticize myself more if I had more choices. So it's easier to pick between the 2 for me.
It is easier to pick. There's an interesting study about why Costco doesn't have as many brands of peanut butter on its shelf as if you go into like Acme or ShopRite or whatnot.
Right.
And it is because the overabundance of selection actually makes it harder for us to make a choice.
Right.
So there's a lot of psychology behind that. But it's interesting. I saw a quote the other day that said, if you don't like the road you're on, you can always choose a new one. And so to your point about peeking down the one road and trying to decide it, even if we go down a little bit and we decide it's not the road for us, you can always go back to that fork and take the other one.
Right. Yeah, man. So, Greg, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you spending time with us today. And
it's a pleasure, Maurice.
Again, everyone, his link is in the bio. And be sure to text PERFORM at 33777. Thank you very much, Greg.
That's the one. Thanks, Maurice.
All right.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.